Hello everyone, and welcome to this, the first of 4 online resources on social impact investment readiness. My name is Jeremy Harris, and I am a Director in the New South Wales Office of Social Impact Investment. I will be presenting this online resource, but before we begin, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which this video is being recorded, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and I pay my respects to their elders past, present and future. The purpose of these videos is to build capacity and capability for organisations who wish to participate in the social impact investment market with the New South Wales Government. It provides concepts and tools to assist organisations when developing their social impact investment proposals. We hope that you find this resource and the others we are producing informative and enjoyable. Now let's begin. Our online resources are divided into 4 parts. Part 1 introduces you to the concept of what social impact investment is. Part 2 moves on to developing a social impact investment proposal and specifically defining social issues and target cohorts. Part 3 will then take you on to developing your intervention and outcomes measurement. And Part 4 will look at your organisational capacity and the financial assessment process involved in social impact investment. This video will cover Part 1, what is social impact investment. We will cover the role of the New South Wales Government in social impact investment, the principles that we adopt for our social impact investment program. Then we will move on to the global reach of social impact investment. And then we'll finish with providing some Australian and international examples of social impact investment to highlight the significant impact that can be achieved through these types of programs. First, let me explain what we mean by social impact investment. As you can see by the diagram on slide 4, social impact investing encourages innovative ways to deliver better social and financial outcomes for individuals, families and communities. It brings together the public, private and non-government sectors to address and hopefully solve intractable social challenges. The diagram provides an overview of how social impact investing works. Investors provide upfront funding for services. Service providers, an NGO or a for-profit organisation, uses this funding to deliver an agreed social outcome. As a result of the services that are delivered by the provider, people's lives improve because they receive a better quality of service and a more efficient and effective service. This in turn generates savings for the New South Wales Government. These savings are then used to repay the investors, payment to service providers, with a modest return on their investment so that they can invest back into their organisations and grow the good work that they are doing. And finally, government can generate savings and more effectively deliver services to the people of New South Wales by ensuring that we fund programs to improve the lives of the people of New South Wales. So what are our social impact investing principles? We have 4 social impact investing principles. The first one is a focus on social outcomes. This means that social impact investments seek to achieve social outcomes for individuals and families. These outcomes are measured, and then government will make a payment when those outcomes are achieved. Our second principle is to drive innovation. Social impact investment removes considerable amount of red tape and allows service providers to innovate and deliver services that best respond to client needs. Our third social impact investment principle is partnership. Social impact investment encourages partnerships across sectors. It involves government sharing the risks and benefits with service providers, agencies and investors. And it is important that everybody who participates in the social impact investment collaborates to achieve the best possible outcomes. The final principle is return on investment. Social impact investing encourages more resources to be invested in early intervention and prevention services. This means that prevention services enable a reduction in high-cost acute services later down the track. This provides a financial return for the government and investors, and it also provides a social return for the people who receive these services, as they are able to improve their lives earlier, and all of these elements result in a proven value for money for the New South Wales Government. Let's now look at the global reach of social impact investment. The idea of social impact investment is still a relatively new concept. It originated in the United Kingdom, with the first social impact investment commencing in 2010, being the Peterborough Social Impact Bond. Currently, there are 108 social impact investments globally. As you can see, the majority of those are in the United Kingdom and in the USA. There are currently 8 social impact investments in Australia. 6 of those are in New South Wales. With our partners, the New South Wales Government pioneered Australia's first 2 social impact investments. We initially focused on the policy area of child protection, helping families to reunite and to prevent children from entering out-of-home care. More recently, our social impact investments have moved into other policy areas. We are focusing on palliative care, prevention of reoffending, improving mental health services, and we are looking to support young people who are at risk of becoming homeless. Let's take a look at social impact investment in more detail. Essentially, social impact investment is a form of commissioning for outcomes. It removes us away from traditional government contracting or fee-for-services into a range of different outcomes-based contracting arrangements. There is a spectrum of products associated with social impact investment, from contracting for outcomes and payment by results contracts to our more complicated and complex social benefit bonds. What is common to these products is that they are focused on achieving specified outcomes that are commissioned by the government and delivered by our service partners. This means that government will only pay when these outcomes are achieved. There is an incentive, therefore, on the service provider side to deliver the agreed outcome and to participate in the benefits and risks sharing with government. This is very different from traditional forms of government contracting, where the government provided upfront funding to service providers on a fee-for-service basis. There are also different financial instruments that can provide working capital. Social impact investment is just one tool in the funding kit. There are different financial instruments that can be used to fund social impact investments. The most common to date has been capital provided by investors, which has a proportion of risk and then a proportion of return. Investor capital in these situations is paid or returned to the investor depending on the success of the program. In these situations, an investor can risk losing some of their capital investment or receive a full return of their capital and also receive a dividend or a coupon payment on top of that. We are particularly interested in partnering with philanthropic investors. This will enable us to explore more innovative financing and funding arrangements which make social impact investments more financially sustainable for both investors, the government and service providers. Let's now take a look at a social impact bond, or as we call them in New South Wales, social benefit bonds. The process starts with the government identifying a priority policy area where we want to achieve better outcomes for the people of New South Wales. We engage with a service provider to deliver an agreed program with agreed outcomes. The service provider will need to get some upfront financing from private investors to cover the cost of working capital. The service provider then delivers services to the target population, and those outcomes are measured by an independent measurement body. Depending on the success of the program and the payments received by the service provider is able to reimburse the private investor their original upfront capital investment, and if the program has been successful, in addition to the original investment capital, the investors will receive a percentage of profit based on that performance. Now, let's take a look at the Newpin Social Benefit Bond, Australia's first social impact investment. For this investment, investors provided $7 million in upfront working capital that was used to fund services to 700 families with children in out-of-home care services. The Newpin program was designed to support those families so that they could restore those children back to a safe and loving family environment. The savings generated by the Newpin program were used to pay the service provider and to make returns to investors. In addition to the financial savings and outcomes achieved, there are considerable social benefits because, as we know, children who spend a long time in out-of-home care have very poor long-term social outcomes. So what are the drivers that make governments, investors and service providers want to enter into a social impact investment? Let's start with the government perspective. Government is very interested in shifting the focus of spending from acute services to spending on preventative services. We are also very, very keen to move funding to outcomes rather than being provided for outputs. The next aspect is seeking innovation in contracts and service delivery. Social impact investments are a partnership and provide a much better way for government and our service provider partners to work together and design and deliver services that are the most suitable for their clients. Social impact investment provides opportunities for early intervention rather than funding later cycle acute services which are high cost and do not achieve the best benefits for the people of New South Wales. From the perspective of non-government service providers, there are a number of drivers which are attractive when compared to traditional service delivery contracts. Social impact investments are generally a longer contract term. Moving to payment based on outcomes generally provides a modest return to the service provider, which can be reinvested back into delivering more services to their clients. Social impact investments are also more flexible and involve a partnership arrangement with agencies, which enables the service provider and the agency to adjust the service to meet the needs of their clients. And finally, the service provider gets to share in the risk and return depending on how successful the program is. From an investor's perspective, social impact investment seeks to generate the social impact alongside the financial return. Social impact investments seek to blend the aims of philanthropy and traditional investment. The former generates a social return, whereas the latter is concerned with generating a financial return. This is particularly attractive to investors who want to see their money and their funds being used to improve the lives of others. So let's now look at the success of the Newpin Social Benefit Bond. Newpin has been running now for almost 5 years. During that time, the investors have received the equivalent of a 13% per annum return for their investment. But more importantly, this has resulted in 203 children being successfully restored to their families and a restoration rate of 63%, which compares with a counterfactual or business as usual rate of only 19.2%. In addition, Newpin has prevented children from 55 families from entering care, a very worthwhile social outcome. This ends the introduction to social impact investment. I encourage you to continue with part 2. Thank you for listening to the presentation and have a good day.